it's just an honor to come to you today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about who I am and why I am running for Hamilton County Juvenile Court Judge, which is a commonplace division of Hamilton County. Just a little bit about myself. I am a native of Cincinnati, Ohio. I was educated in the Catholic or parochial school system. Corpus Christi is my home parish. I went on to Ursuline Academy in Forest Park. I'm from Forest Park, Ohio. I've been practicing law for about 17 years. I graduated from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, followed by University of Cincinnati College of Law, where I received my Juris Doctor. A lot of my early practice in particular was spent representing young people, representing juveniles. Unfortunately, many times representing juvenile delinquents. I worked both as a private attorney representing clients, as well as I was a paid contracted attorney for the Public Defender's Office, where again I represented persons that were indigent or did not have the resources to be able to pay for their own representation. However, I do believe that everyone should have equal access under the law, and everyone should have representation. That's what the Constitution guarantees us. But in a lot, or during much of my practice, I spent a lot of time in juvenile court and just saw a lot of things in the system, quite honestly, that some things that disturbed me and some things that made me feel that we can do a better job of helping to reach the constituency or reach the persons who we're serving. And I do believe that the court system can have a greater, more positive impact on young people. We can do more, I believe, to change their lives around. I also worked for Pro Kids as an attorney guardian ad litem. Pro Kids oftentimes represents abused and neglected young people. And believe it or not, here in Hamilton County, we have an increasing number of young people that are entering into the dependency system because their parents aren't able to take care of them. So I had the opportunity to investigate those type of cases. And unfortunately, a lot of children that are in the system today, whether it's through adoption and foster care, or whether it's through the juvenile delinquency side, are African American. In fact, more than 70% of the young people that are being affected by juvenile delinquency here in Hamilton County are African American. In fact, we are disproportionately represented in comparison to other counties across the state of Ohio. And so I believe that it's time to change. That's why I'm running for judge. I believe that when you want to change a system, that you have to do it from the inside out. And so that's why I threw my name in the hat and why I'm running to also be the first African American judge in the history of the juvenile court system here in Hamilton County, because I believe that I am best situated to make the difference that I think is going to change the lives of our young people. Point in blank, I was at a parade this morning, and the parade itself went great, but right after the parade, the young people engaged in a fight. And that was really disturbing, because a lot of our young people today do not understand how to resolve their differences in a non-violent manner. I've noticed over the years that we have an increasing amount of young people that are committing homicides. They're either committing the homicide or they're the victims of the homicide. And we have to do something about it. And I believe, again, that I'm the person that is best poised to help to bring down the crime rate. Because I believe that the way that we treat persons when they first come in contact with the system determines whether or not they're going to become our repeat offenders later on, or whether or not they're going to learn that that's not the way that I want to go. So when people come in contact with Tracie Hunter, I want them to have a contact that will make them change literally their lifestyle. It will make them change the course of their life. And so I am running on a four-point or four-prong vision, I'll call it, on a vision of rehabilitation, education, application, and restoration. Now let me share with you how I arrived here. There was a study actually done on Hamilton County years ago. It was done by the American Bar Association. And unfortunately, when they compared Hamilton County to other counties across the state of Ohio, they found that in Hamilton County that we have the highest bind-over rate in the state of Ohio. Bind-over is trying a young person as an adult. So we are trying more young people as an adult here in Hamilton County than other urban counties, some of them larger than Hamilton County, across the state of Ohio. They also found that we're locking up children at a younger age. So we're putting 8 and 9-year-old children in jail. And I believe that there are alternatives. There's something clearly that we need to do. When I've talked to persons with the Department of Youth Services in Columbus, they say that the most serious offenders, serious violent offenders, are coming from Hamilton County. Why is that? Something's wrong with that picture, and I want to get to the bottom of it. The study also found that in Hamilton County that we have a bend towards incarceration. That means that we are more prone to lock a child up than to engage in some form of rehabilitation that will enable them to change their lives. And that's what I'm about, transformed lifestyles. So we need to begin to rehabilitate these children. We need, when they come in contact with the system, we need to put things in place to eliminate their destructive behavior, because some of them literally have just destructive patterns of behavior. We have to begin to alter the course of their life. We need to let them know that there's a better way than the life that they're choosing for themselves. The statistics also show that the majority of the young persons that are being locked up, they have difficulty in school. Some of them can't read, some of them cannot write. Many of them have dropped out of high school at an early age. They don't receive their GEDs and ultimately their diplomas. And again, the statistics show even in the adult penal system that many of them have the same academic problems. So that tells me that if we want to begin to change the mindset of our young people, we need to make sure that they're getting an education. I say that rather than take them out of school and keep them from getting the academic skills and training that they're going to need to lead a productive life, we need to make sure that they're required to get the minimum at the very least, but definitely something that's going to prepare them to be a productive citizen in life. We can't wonder why are they committing crimes and why are they stealing if they cannot get a job. And how can you get a job if you can't fill out a job application? How can you get a job if you can't read or if you can't write? So they're missing the basic skills that we need to make sure that these young persons are getting. I also believe that the laws need to be applied fairly across the board. Again, just by the fact that we are disproportionately represented in the system shows that there's some type of disparity, and even the reports show that, and the reports question the reason that there were so many children of minority children in the prison system. And there's a growing population, quite honestly, of Hispanic children as well. So clearly there's some cultural issues that we need to begin to address. And I definitely believe that I'm culturally sensitive and understand the needs and the concerns of our community to be able to make a difference. Ultimately, I believe that we need to look at restoring our children. We need to restore them mentally, physically, spiritually. I believe that if we restore our children, that we'll be able to restore families. And just so you know, a lot of people think that juvenile court only deals with children. Couldn't be further from the truth. Juvenile court deals with entire families because, as I said earlier, there's an increasing number of children that are being removed from their homes because parents don't know how to take care of their children. It's unfortunate, but that's just a reality of the society that we're living in. A lot of mothers cannot care for their children, and some fathers. And when this happens and the system gets involved, it's called abuse and neglect. Sometimes these children are removed temporarily, and unfortunately, increasingly, they're being removed permanently. We have a growing number. The economy right now, we're in a recession, the economy's on the decline. That means there are more and more families that are struggling to take care of their children, and more of these families are ending up in the system. But I also believe that just because a child comes from a family that's struggling or comes from a single parent household versus a two-family home does not mean that they do not deserve the same respect, that they do not deserve the same opportunities that are being afforded persons that are coming maybe from more affluent households and from two-family homes or two-parent homes. And so I want to ensure, again, that there's equality across the board, regardless of whether we're dealing with a child that comes from the suburbs, if you will, or a child that comes from the inner city. They all demand the same type of treatment. We also handle child support, huge issue. And it's not just males. Today you have more and more females that are not caring for their children, and so the fathers are now assuming the primary parental role. And in those instances, the mother also pays child support. But what a lot of people don't realize is that falling in arrears in child support, you can fall in contempt with the court. It's a felony, and you could end up in jail. There are more and more people, because of they're falling in arrears and they're in contempt of court, they're in jail. And if they had a job going into the system, guess what? They lose their job. And so again, it's like a cycle, a revolving door. And my job as a juvenile court judge, I believe, is to help solve the problem. And it's to help make our community safer, because if we get more children off the streets and get them in jobs and help them to get an education so that they can become gainfully employed, these young people are not going to be nuisances to our society. They are going to be productive members of our society. And I'm sure that just like I want that for our community, I know that you do too. And so again, I'm running on rehabilitation, education, application, and ultimately restoration. Restored children, restored families, and ultimately a restored community. So I thank you very much, and I would like to offer you now at this time an opportunity to ask anything. I'm Tracie Hunter, and I am running for judge of the Common Pleas Division, Hamilton County Juvenile Court. That I just provided as well as me sharing why I'm running for juvenile court judge.
I have a question.
Okay.
We talked about rehabilitation.
Yes.
What are some of the, maybe some specific things you can say about rehabilitation of your people, the youth that you're coming in contact with?
That's a very good question. First of all, let me say that every child does not deserve to be incarcerated just because they have a contact with the system. We have more and more young people that are actually being taken directly from school. Maybe they get into a fight and they're taking them right to jail in some instances. I believe that in terms of rehabilitating children, first of all, you always have to take into consideration how old they are. You have to take into consideration whether they've ever been in trouble before. You have to take into consideration the level or type of crime that they have committed. But I believe that short of incarceration, there's something I'm personally interested in, quite honestly, is boot camp. I would like to see some more military type of disciplinary programs put in place, because I'm finding that a lot of our children just lack discipline. That many of them are rebellious when it comes to authority. That many, it used to be when I was growing up, you wouldn't dare question your mother or your grandmother, and we have a lot of children being raised by their grandmothers. I think that we need to put them in some very formal programs that are forcing discipline upon them. I also believe that we need to look at more unofficial courts. Madisonville has one right now. There are certain courts that doesn't require them to go straight into, to bring them in contact with me, for instance. But they're just ordinary people, some churches, some organizations that are helping to resolve these issues at a level that never arises